Hello, everyone. My name is Brianna Williams, and I'm a project designer for Office Interiors. This is my third year attending and presenting for CETX, and I am so excited to be back. My first year, I spoke about creative solutions for panel systems. Last year, I spoke about designing spaces to prevent visual burnout. And this year, I'm glad to welcome you all to my breakout session, Fighting Imposter Syndrome. This is a deeply personal topic for me, so thank you all for joining. Let's go ahead and jump into it. We will be covering the following topics for this session. We'll start with a survey. We'll cover what is imposter syndrome, the imposter syndrome experience, how to overcome imposter syndrome, and we'll end with a questioning. Okay, first up we have our survey. I apologize for the ambush, but I do think this will be important, even if my data might end up a little skewed given what we were discussing. Everyone, if you could please take out your phones or scan the QR code or follow the link. It will take you to the survey with these questions you see on the screen. They are all yes or no, and this will allow you to keep your answers anonymous. Have you ever experienced self-doubt? Have you ever felt as though you are a fraud or have tricked your way into a role? Have you ever believed that it was just luck or timing that got you into your current role? Have you ever thought that someone from your company should be at CETX to learn and grow and network, but not yourself? Are you too nervous to answer any of the above questions, but identify with them anyhow? As you may have guessed, these are all signs of imposter syndrome. The National Institute of Health reviewed 30 studies with a sample size of 11,483 people, and the prevalence of imposter syndrome was at 62%, and with healthcare professionals, that number is at 80%. I am part of that 62%, and that is why I'm standing up here. It is a really tough thing to deal with all those feelings, and for those that said yes to any of those questions, I'm sorry your brain lied to you. And for everyone in this room with me today, to those attending this conference, for those that watch my recording, I want to remind you that you are really damn good at your job. So, what exactly is imposter syndrome? Well, the Oxford English Dictionary defines imposter syndrome as the persistent inability to believe that one's success is deserved or has been legitimately achieved as a result of one's own efforts or skills. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines imposter syndrome as a psychological condition that is characterized by persistent doubt concerning one's abilities or accomplishments, accompanied by the fear of being exposed as a fraud despite evidence of one's ongoing success. Here's some extra information on what exactly imposter syndrome is. I'm not going to read over all of this, so please feel free to pause, but I would like to read out the bolded sentences. Imposter syndrome is a behavioral health phenomenon described as self-doubt of intellect, skills, or accomplishments among high-achieving individuals. Among high-achieving individuals. These individuals cannot internalize their success despite verifiable and objective evidence of their successfulness. All this information came from the National Institutes of Health, or the NIH. It is a really good read, so I highly recommend that you follow the link down below at the bottom of the screen. It has some really good additional information, so please feel free to check it out. Moving right on into characteristics. We have the imposter cycle, perfectionism, superheroism, aticophobia, or the fear of failure, the denial of competence or capability, and achievophobia, or the fear of success. Let's go ahead and break these down. First is the imposter cycle. I had never heard of this before, and once I did, I felt incredibly called out. The imposter cycle is going to have you feeling stuck in a rut. You know, you have something important to do and you want to get it done, but you just can't get started until something finally clicks. So you do it and you put in so much effort. You see your work and you feel accomplished and you are so proud. But then you remember you procrastinated and you think someone that had given it more time could have done it better, and you are left feeling awful. And because you feel awful, you get some executive decision making issues and you just do it all over again. And you do it all over again because holding on to that feeling of success is hard. And you may find it being replaced with fear and anxiety because what if someone catches on that you procrastinated? Or, I suppose for some, what if they think you did entirely too much to cover up your tracks of knowing nothing prior to doing the thing that you worked so hard on? Perfectionism. I imagine a large portion of the design community would describe themselves as a perfectionist. Our specs have to be perfect. Our finishes have to be beautifully coordinated. Our deadlines have to be locked in to keep the client happy. Our communication skills must be on point, and God forbid you make a mistake or can't defend your design decision. And now multiply this need to be perfect on every single project. But don't you dare drown under that pressure, because then you won't be perfect. You will be nothing but a fraud. And it can be so hard to give ourselves grace for being human. And you get stuck in a loop of thinking it must be my best work ever. But it's all too overwhelming. Superheroism is next. It is a part of the imposter cycle, and as some of you may have guessed, it is the exact opposite of procrastination. You overprepare for your tasks. Y'all, last year I made a presentation for my presentation to make up for the fact that I had started working on it so late. I could have just embedded the link into the presentation like I did this year, but instead I decided that it needed to be aesthetic. Next, we have aticophobia, or the fear of failure. I believe the easiest way to sum this up is you are failing to trust the process. I know companies and individuals all have a process they follow to ensure everyone is successful, but sometimes you get caught in the weeds. Maybe you need a special to be done just so to ensure everything will install properly. Or perhaps you're a speccing product you haven't worked with before and you worry you are doing it wrong. What if you fail to submit your deliverables on time because you had to send something into spec check? It can be stressful, especially when a large project is on the line and everyone is demanding success. Denial of competence and capability. This one is a little amusing to me because I really do waffle back and forth between, gosh, I am so lucky, and excuse you, but I am good at my job. But this denial will have you believing that despite being intelligent, experienced, and talented, you still aren't good enough. Achievemophobia is the last characteristic. It is the fear of success because succeeding may mean more work or an increase in responsibilities. And we already have so much going on. I have so many projects waiting for my attention after this conference, and I'm sure you all do too. I'm just thankful that this is the one thing I don't really personally relate to. I'm not afraid of success, and I'm grateful I'm not sabotaging my hard work because there are people that will. I think if I was afraid of success, I wouldn't take pride in my work, and I wouldn't be back at CTX bringing awareness to imposter syndrome. I have something else going on in my professional life right now, too, that I'm also busy prepping for, so please wish me luck. With all that said, imposter syndrome can have a negative impact on your life. It truly is a cycle, and I have found that working late nights and mistakes of any size cause it to claw at me. Even if it is something as simple as forgetting keys for an office. Furniture should be key to like, right? So why on earth did I forget something so basic? Am I even good at my job? I am thankful that I can recognize what it is. However, there are those that don't. These individuals may find themselves experiencing anxiety, that constant worry that you aren't good enough no matter how hard you try, or depression, just too much of the everything pulled you down, and now how could you possibly escape the feeling of inadequacy? You may also experience stress from being entirely too hard on yourself and burnout because you have to continually strive to be the best so that people don't notice you feel as though you aren't. My first year at CTX, someone did a panel about burnout, and her having the strength to talk about that gave me the strength to talk about this. These feelings are so real and they suck, even apart from imposter syndrome. And we have even more. It isn't just anxiety, depression, stress, and/or burnout. Imposter syndrome can also cause low self-esteem because you truly feel you are just not good at your job and you're left feeling worthless. You might experience delayed personal growth because you feel content or lucky to have your current role. So why should you strive for more? And relationship strain because compliments are hard and you feel you aren't worthy of praise. It's not a fun feeling, and I hope that me talking about this brings awareness to this conference and the design community. As a note, the content from these last 3 slides are from calm.com. I am by no means a medical professional, so I'm going to give myself grace for copying and pasting these slides, and I hope you all do as well. Please take some time to read through this link because there is some really good information in that article. As a side note, I almost forgot this entire section. I told my husband about it and he said, but you caught it because you're not an imposter. And yeah, here is my reminder to you all again that you're not an imposter either, and you are all really good at your job. So who does it affect? It was first observed by 2 psychologists, Dr. Suzanne Imes and Dr. Pauline Rose Clance. They noticed it among successful women and other marginalized groups. They coined the term imposter syndrome when they published The Imposter Phenomenon in High-Achieving Women, Dynamics and Therapeutic Intervention in 1978. In addition to women, it can also affect people of color, the LGBTQ+ community, healthcare providers, interior designers, students, those in high-pressure environments, and experts and highly skilled individuals. I would also like to let you all know that the Survey Center on American Life did a survey back in June 2022, and they found it is more common for women to experience it than men. I find it interesting that it seems to get better with what I would think would be experience and not just age. So I'll keep learning and growing, and I hope you all do too. People that experience the imposter syndrome might also describe themselves as being a perfectionist, superhero, natural genius, expert, or soloist. These 5 different types were first described in Dr. Valerie Young's book, The Secret Thoughts of Successful Women: Why Capable People Suffer from the Imposter Syndrome and How to Thrive in Spite of It. This book was published in 2011. I don't know if you recall, but Imes and Clance first noted imposter syndrome in 1978. My understanding is that very few studies were done on imposter syndrome for at least another decade, and it took 2 more before this book was written. Literal decades went by, and people are still learning about it, and new studies on it are being done. I highly urge you all to go back and read the article and the reference link down below at the bottom of this slide, because it also has some really good information on the history of imposter syndrome and a whole lot more. So starting with the perfectionist. Perfectionism is a characteristic of imposter syndrome, so it shouldn't be too surprising to find out that one of the groups is perfectionist. I'm sure you are all familiar with this feeling to some degree. I believe it can be healthy. I think it's good to challenge yourself so that you learn and grow. However, People with imposter syndrome have a tendency to take it way too far. We tend to set unrealistic goals. We might overpromise on something, and then we're left feeling guilty when we underdeliver. This could lead you to obsess over the goal to the point of self-neglect. And yes, I am talking to those of you that skip lunch and work entirely too late. Stop that. You will burn yourself out, and it'll leave you feeling defeated to the point that you don't want to do anything new. Take care of yourself. Set healthy goals and reasonable deadlines, and remember that sometimes good enough really is good enough. Next, we have the superhero. The superhero wants to fill all the roles and do all the jobs. And if they can't manage everything that they have taken on, then they're a failure and they're left feeling guilty. I am here to remind you all to rely on your team and to ask for help when you need it. If the workload is too much, then renegotiate your deadlines and compromise your deliverables as needed. The natural genius is next. This person is someone that believes that they should be able to learn everything quickly, and if they can't, then they are useless. I promise it is okay to take the time to learn something new, and it's okay to take the time to relearn something too. I've been using CET for a while now, and I consider myself to be a proficient user, but I am still learning new things, and I still have to relearn old things, especially when it comes to doing anything with the flooring extension. If you find yourself stuck while working in CET, then remember there are resources available to you. Anytime I get stuck, I will go through Configura's Help Center. I have included the link down below at the bottom of this slide. It is a phenomenal place to look, and if you can't find what you're looking for, then type out a message in the chat. Ask your team, and if it's a vendor-specific question, then reach out to the vendor. Next is the expert. This person is someone that believes they should know it all and know how to do it all, and if they do not have all the answers, then they're a cheat. Y'all, it took me years to build up my product knowledge to what it is today. I still don't know everything, and I do not think I ever will. There are tons of manufacturers, multiple product lines, and an endless supply of fabrics and finishes. And then there are all the countless spec guides. There is no way I could learn all of that and retain it. I am not a database. No one is. And that's okay. Use your resources and remember that it's okay to not know something, and it is okay to ask questions. No one will think less of you for it. Last but not least is the soloist. The soloist believes that they should be able to handle everything on their own. I feel this one on a deep and personal level, and I can confirm that it is really hard to do everything alone. It can feel near impossible when you're responsible for everything from typical development to site visits to spec check to install drawings and everything in between. And the feeling of failure, if there is punch, is crushing and it fills you with self-doubt. It can be so mentally and emotionally draining, so please do not isolate yourself in a project. Ask the questions that need to be answered and ask for help if you are overwhelmed. For those of you that still feel you are alone in these feelings, I compiled a list of well-known people that have struggled with imposter syndrome and have publicly spoken out about it. The person I think of first is Tom Hanks. He is so accomplished, and yet he said, "No matter what we've done, there comes a point where you think, how did I get here? When are they going to discover that I am, in fact, a fraud and take everything away from me?" Kate Winslet said, I love acting, and all I ever try to do is my best. And even now, I always dread those emotional scenes. And they're thinking, oh my God, I'm rubbish, and everyone is going to see it. They've cast the wrong person. Emma Watson said, now, when I receive recognition for my acting, I feel incredibly uncomfortable. I tend to turn in on myself. I feel like I'm an imposter. Any moment, someone's going to find out that I'm a total fraud and that I don't deserve any of what I've achieved. Lady Gaga said, I still sometimes feel like a loser kid in high school, and I just have to pick myself up and tell myself that I am a superstar every morning so that I can get through this day and be for my fans what they need me to be. Sheryl Sandberg said she explained that many people, but especially women, feel fraudulent when they are praised for their accomplishments. Instead of feeling worthy of recognition, they feel undeserving and guilty, as if a mistake has been made. Despite being high achievers, even experts in their fields, women can't seem to shake the sense that it is only a matter of time until they are found out for who they really are, imposters with limited skills or abilities. Michelle Obama said, I still have a little imposter syndrome. It doesn't go away. That feeling that you shouldn't take me that seriously. What do I know? I share that with you because we all have doubts in our abilities about our power and what that power is. Albert Einstein, he said, the exaggerated esteem in which my life work is held makes me feel very ill at ease. I feel compelled to think of myself as an involuntary swindler. Maya Angelou said, I have written 11 books, but each time I think, oh, they're going to find out now. I've run a game on everybody and they're going to find me out. And then there's me. I graduated from Georgia Southern University. It is a CETA and NASAD accredited college. I have a Bachelor of Science in Interior Design with a concentration in environmental sustainability. I graduated cum laude. I am a dealer designer with 6+ years of experience. I'm currently leading CET training sessions for my company, Office Interiors, and I've been a CETX presenter for 3 years now. Looking at this list makes me feel accomplished. But I remember worrying about whether or not I would be accepted into the interior design program because I kept getting B's when I previously got A's all through high school. I remember being upset that the only C I got was for a class that was for my environmental sustainability concentration. I remember being upset that it was not a minor and that it would not appear on my diploma. I remember being upset that I did not graduate magna cum laude. I've now been a dealer designer for almost 7 years, and I have consistently maintained low punch, but not zero. I'm now helping my company transfer over to CET, but I still get the occasional question that I do not know the answer to, or I tell them how to do it and be wrong because muscle memory. I have done so much, but every step of the way, I've had my doubts, and I still wonder if I'm good enough. But I still show up, and I have continued improving and learning, and because of it, I was eventually invited to present at CTX. And I was invited because of this rendering. Please ooh and aud it. I'm very proud of it. I love the natural lighting and the task lighting. I'm really proud of how reflective the glass is. I love that you can see the mezzanine and outside, and I also really like the little puppy that I added to the backdrop under the high adjustable desk. This rendering is what got me invited to CETX. I was so surprised when I got the email asking me to present, and I jumped at the opportunity. I am so glad I did, and so incredibly happy that I got to talk about creative solutions for panel systems. I stayed on task, I met all the deadlines, I was organized, my presentation went well, and I got good feedback, and I got to talk to some really great people after. But I remember the nerves. I remember forgetting to breathe. I remember being given a QR code for my presentation that people could scan and get credit for a CEU and thinking my breakout session wasn't good enough. But apparently it was because I got invited back for a second year. Last year was all about preventing visual burnout, so I had a lot of beautiful renderings, but I think this one is my favorite. I feel like I could go and relax there and be content for a while with the water rushing in the background, plants, and different places to sit. I would want to just curl up on the wave and enjoy the sun. But oh my gosh, getting here was grueling. I had a lot going on in my personal life last year, and I was consistently up working on this well past midnight and on the weekends. I remember being embarrassed doing my dry one because it just wasn't where it needed to be. I don't think I got the presentation and recording done until perhaps Thursday before CETX. While I was still very passionate while presenting last year, I had to be reminded by someone in the audience to breathe. And I didn't get the sense of pride in completing this because it felt like it was just luck that got it done on time. I really only felt relief, and I remember thinking, I don't want to present at CETX again. I used my 2 ideas. What else is there for me to talk about? I am surrounded by creative and inspiring people, and I have got nothing left to give this community. But my darling husband Alex thought otherwise. As a side note, our anniversary is October 8th, and he has traveled with me to CETX every year. He is my biggest supporter, so of course I talked to him about it, and he was incredibly understanding. Despite my hesitation, I eventually started playing with the idea of procrastination and the benefit of setting up templates to help when you're against a time crunch, but I just didn't feel it was good enough. And eventually I landed on this. I landed on imposter syndrome because there is no way that I am the only one struggling with this, and I know, even though I will be calling myself out in a hard way in front of my peers, it will be worth it. So now that you know what imposter syndrome is and who it affects, let's finally talk about how to overcome it. The majority, if not all of my resources, agree that the best place to start is with understanding what imposter syndrome is. With that said, I hope the first half of this session was helpful. For the second half, I reference calm.com again. They have an insightful article about it, and in addition to learning what it is, they recommend learning what brings about these feelings for you. Once you do, it is recommended that you talk to someone, practice self-care, clap back at the negative inner voice, and celebrate your wins. So if I recognize it, will it ever go away? It takes time and patience, and it is a journey, but it is possible. I'm not quite there yet, and I imagine that I will always have some negative thoughts, but I'm quick to realize what happens, and I'm able to shut that nonsense down real fast. I hope that you will all learn how to do the same. Just remember, fighting imposter syndrome is a process, so be kind to yourself while you navigate it. One thing I do want to touch on before we get into general tips is, do I have imposter syndrome, or am I just bad at something? I do not say this to be mean or hurtful, but to encourage. If you have the skills and are being told you are good at your job, but you're still struggling to believe in yourself, then it's highly likely it is imposter syndrome. However, If that's not the case, then you may just need more time to learn. Dedicate some time here and there to develop your skills. Take the time to go through some extra training or ask the silly questions. If someone takes the time to teach you something, then take the time to listen and learn. I find it highly unlikely that someone would take the time to teach if they did not care about your growth. If none of that works, then believe in the me that believes in you. And if you get that reference, then come and find me and we can geek out together. All right, so general tips. As noted a few slides back, take the time to recognize when you are starting to get yourself down. Talk out those negative feelings with someone, or if you're feeling too vulnerable, then try writing it down. Challenge your inner critic. It can be difficult when you are caught in such a negative loop of self-depreciating jokes. I have found that if you imagine your nemesis telling you all those mean things, it is so much easier to ignore those mean words. So give that a try, and hopefully it works for you too. Try to reframe your view. Instead of only seeing the bad, work hard to find that silver lining. Is the thing you're stuck on just an opportunity to learn? Can you grow from this mistake? If none of that works, then get yourself that little treat. Say one of your affirmations or take time to properly hydrate and relax. And do not feel guilty for it. Keep in mind that whatever has thrown you off can be overcome with time. Treat yourself with patience and kindness. I don't care if it sounds silly, just give it a try. Make sure you try to seek support. I know this one can be hard because you then have to be vulnerable with yourself and with your emotions. But if you feel this would be beneficial to you, then I highly recommend it. I like to talk things out with my husband. He is phenomenal with data, and anytime I'm down, he helps me quantify my accomplishments. I will also talk to my close friends about it, and on occasion, even my coworkers. There have been times where I will ask someone to remind me that I am good at my job, and thank goodness they do, and thank goodness I can tell that they are sincere as well. I only just learned about the SBNRR technique while doing this presentation. So while I have not tried it myself, I do believe that this would be helpful. Stop, breathe, notice, reflect, and respond. If nothing else, walk away from what is causing you to stress or spiral and take a few minutes to breathe before tackling whatever task you are currently up against. I know sometimes being against a tight deadline makes it feel impossible to do that, so please, if you can't find time to walk away, then at least give yourself the time to take 3 deep breaths. Just a moment of pause, if you can. Make sure to acknowledge your accomplishments. I asked my husband how he fights against imposter syndrome, and he told me suffer. And after I gave him a look, he gave me a proper answer. He told me that it is always nice when he is asked a question and he's able to answer the fine details that others cannot. Being able to showcase the knowledge he has acts as a reminder that he does know the ins and outs of his job, and it allows him to quantify everything he knows. So acknowledge those achievements, big and small, and celebrate them when you can. You can also try keeping a folder with praise. I have not tried this recently, but way back when I waited tables, I kept almost every receipt that said thank you, and it helped. I now spend more time reflecting on the good I have done, but if a physical, visual reminder helps, then do it. Save the good jobs and the well dones. Save the images of the perfectly installed projects. We are our own worst critic, and seeing the positive feedback from others can be so uplifting. So don't be afraid to take pride in your work. Don't forget to practice self-compassion. I get it. If you feel like you aren't worthy of kindness and understanding, but I promise you are. Value yourself and take care of yourself. There is nothing wrong with treating yourself to that little treat or taking a nap to reset. Treat yourself with the same love and kindness that you treat your friends, because you are worthy of self-love. So, what works for me? Well, I remind myself that I'm good at my job. I will ask someone else to remind me that I'm good at my job, for those times when I just don't believe myself. I will walk away from what is causing me to stress or spiral. I will side quest on something simple to feel in control. Usually it's me going off to do the dishes. I'll also give myself a strict cutoff time for work. It can absolutely vary day to day, but it also ensures that I get my work done, and it also allows me time to properly rest. Anytime I need to focus, I will listen to a specific song on loop for hours, and I'll actually get everything done. Time moves by for me quickly, and by the end of my focus session, I am considerably ahead, and I actually feel accomplished for the day. I make sure to celebrate my small victories, and I also have my Finch app. That is my bird Pancake up in the top left. She helps me take care of myself. So check it out. It's very cute, and it makes sure that I do basic things like brush my teeth and drink my water. So, you may all have noticed that at the end of the full details on my breakout session, I said I was going to work through getting CET certified and present for you all, pass or fail. So, the burning question, did I pass? Well, no, because I didn't take the test. Because the CET certification is currently being revamped and therefore it is not being offered to take. I had really big ideas for this presentation on going over items I struggled with during the training and reviewing tricky how-tos like blocks versus alternates and creating custom shapes or making specials, but I decided that I would pivot this part and ask you all, what would you like to get out of the CET certification? Please feel free to scan the QR code and it will take you to this questionnaire. It will ask you if you've heard of the CET certification, and if so, are you already certified? Are you planning to get CET certified? If yes, what materials would you like to help you pass? If no, why have you decided against it? Do you want a different certification? If yes, what certification do you want and why? And that is what I have for you all. Thank you everyone so much for joining me today. Thank you for reading through my presentation and taking the time to listen to my recording. I really appreciate you all letting me be vulnerable. I learned a ton about imposter syndrome while working on this presentation, and I feel like all of the research and hard work really did help me. I hope it all helped you too. If you have any questions, then you are welcome to email me. Thank you all again, and I hope to see everyone next year.